Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am your host, James Yoder, the hardest working man in Michigan football media. While the blog boys are out at Walmart shopping for Christmas presents, I'm here breaking down everything that's going on with the Wolverines post-2019 early signing day on Wednesday. And today's big story, Quavaris Crouch, the former number one player in America, according to Rivals, as recently as this summer, as a running back, now is dropping 5-star stats down to 4-star stats, ranked in the 30s to 40s, depending on which service you use. He will now commit tonight. This is late-breaking news, and we have been told it'll come down to Michigan or Tennessee. We're just give it 2 Harbaugh heads. That's what we've been told, but this is not a recruitment I have followed super closely. I thought he was out the door, not coming to Michigan, no chance in the last couple weeks, so I haven't kept my ear to this one. I was away from my phone last night. All you guys were blowing me up, asking to see if we can get a scoop on this. No scoop. And anyone out there on the internet who tells you they know where he's going, I think they are lying, at least this afternoon as we stand now. The word for the last month and a half, 2 months, is that although he liked Michigan, it was too cold for him, and Clemson was where he was going to end up, a little closer to home, he being from Charlotte, North Carolina, within a few hours' drive down to South Carolina to head to Clemson. But took a surprise visit this past weekend to Tennessee. They got Eric Gray, took him from Michigan. They got 2020 quarterback Harrison Bailey recently, sold him from Michigan. So this one would hurt if a 5-7 Tennessee team that didn't do anything to get anybody excited in the field will steal 3 recruits from right under Michigan's nose in about under a month time period. That would definitely stink. So Quavaris Crouch, former number one player in America, just an absolute brick shithouse. I've said this one in the past, of a human being. Take a look at some of his pictures out there on the internet. Google search him, click on the photos. He is huge. Switching to linebacker, wants to have a longer professional pro career, top 40 player in the country. Coming tonight, 6:30. Keep up to it with my Twitter account. I will tweet it out as soon as he commits, 6:30 Eastern, live from, I guess it's high school, but this is a great late-breaking news. He was originally slated to commit at the Army All-American game in a couple weeks. No longer. It's going to go down tonight. If he does commit to Michigan, he will be adding to a top 10 class as recently as today, the number 8 class in the 24/7 composite, headlined by Dax Hill, who flipped from Michigan to Alabama a couple weeks ago, back to Michigan on signing day, December 19th, sending as a letter of intent to Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff. Zach Charbonnet, maybe the number 1 running back in the country. Michigan certainly thinks he is. Number 42 player overall. And former 5-star Chris Hinton, who saw his stock drop throughout his senior season as well. Some project him to actually be an offensive lineman once he gets to Michigan. Mazi Smith is one I think will definitely make an impact in the field next year, getting the 2 deep. Nolan Rumler from Ohio. Flipping it over to more offensive lines, the second set of 5 players in Michigan's recruiting class. Trevor Keegan, Trente Jones will definitely be guys that Michigan will rely on in the future. High 4-star level offensive tackles. Anthony Solomon, Jalen Perry, both out of South Florida and Georgia respectively. And then Cornelius Johnson committed on signing day from the state of Connecticut. Then you've got Cade McNamara coming from Reno, Nevada. Giles Jackson from Northern California. David Ojabo, who relocated to the United States from another country. I'm actually forgetting off the top of my head right now. But he's only played football for 2 seasons. Still said he doesn't even know what half the play calls are out there. He's just going on pure athletic ability. Carson Barnhart, another 4-star offensive lineman there at the guard. And then tight end Eric All out of the state of Ohio, who will definitely fit Jim Harbaugh's mold of game-breaking, down the field, pass-catching tight end. Then we go to Mike Morris, who's only a 3-star, but some services have him listed as a 3-star in the composite. They stole from Florida State. DJ Turner out of IMG Academy. Charles Thomas, Michigan's longest commitment. He's been a commit for 18 months. Zach Carpenter and Jack Stewart as 3-star offensive linemen. 6 coming in this Michigan 2019 class, 6 offensive linemen. Mike Sanderstall, who they stole from Virginia Tech a few weeks back. Gabe Newberg, George Johnson II, and then Quintel Kent and Joey Velasquez. You notice a couple of names that we'll talk about throughout this show, but there are 2 names that have not signed with Michigan that did not sign their letter of intent on December 19th. And if you believe what the Michigan blog boys and local journalists, the water carriers, are saying, oh, they want to sign with their teammates in February. I'm not buying that one. We'll talk about it here in a second. But which 2019 of those 25 recruits are you most excited about? I think it's actually, for me, it's Zach Charbonnet. I think that is the one that is going to make a big-time difference, the game-breaking running back. I know Higdon's been good, but this could be the kind of game-breaking running back that Michigan can put, at the top of an NFL draft one day, potentially even a Heisman Trophy candidate here in a couple years. I fully expect Charbonnet to get a lot of carries next year, maybe even be a starter throughout the 2019 season. We'll see how that develops. And with Higdon not playing in the bowl game, might he be on the field very early might he be battling the guys who are getting the snaps in the bowl game and then potentially be on the field very early next season if those guys don't produce. All right, Amauri Pesek-Hickson, the player that came on like Ronnie Bell late in the recruiting cycle, basketball player, only played football for a couple years. Are there off-the-field concerns with him? Well, some stories coming out of the Big 12, notably Kansas State's writers, recruiting reporters saying that, hey, maybe there's some concerns with him. Maybe that's why he didn't commit to Michigan, and none of the Big 12 schools have come in and tried to steal him. Two Harbaugh heads on this one, and we'll kind of get into what is behind this with the very talented basketball player, Amauri Pesek-Hickson, three-star athlete out of the state of Kansas, much like Ronnie Bell last year, actually almost an identical recruitment, but committed to Michigan a little over a month ago, did not sign on Wednesday. Local Kansas City recruiting analysts have cited that Kansas State, maybe some of the Big 12 schools, are not offering him right now because there are some off-the-field concerns that are maybe the reason that he didn't sign with Michigan, but also the reason why no Big 12 schools still have offered the former basketball star, now making his way into the football field, part of this Michigan 2019 recruiting class. And why didn't he sign yesterday? Because if you look at his Twitter account, and we'll show you a tweet he put up on Wednesday, February come faster, please. And that was in response to Michigan tweeting out this photo to the right of all of the 2019 commitments, or signees, which he was not a part of that photo. And so if you go into the replies in this tweet, you'll see that people say, why can't you sign exactly? Why didn't you sign your letter of intent? What's the problem? And I'm very sick of these recruiting analysts that cover Michigan saying, oh, he's going to sign with his teammates in February. Do these people not think we have brains? Let's just eliminate the BS. What is the point? Am I signing a piece of paper right here or not? You don't even know because you can't see what I'm doing. That is what a ceremony is with your teammates. If he was going to be a part of Michigan's class, he should have signed yesterday, have a ceremonial ribbon cutting with his teammates in February, which who the hell cares about that? And that would be that. But last year, two Michigan players didn't sign at the early signing day they were committed. Kevin Doyle, a quarterback out of Washington, D.C., and then Otis Reese, who also didn't end up signing to Michigan in February. He went to Georgia. So there's something here. Amauri Pesek-Hickson, is it off the field? Is it talent? I'm not sure. But if he ends up going with Michigan, if he signs in February, that's great. But I would not count on it if I was somebody hoping to see him on the field in 2019 for the Michigan Wolverines. Want to remind you guys and tell you how to get hooked up with BetDSI. It is bowl season. My Toledo Rockets are whooping up right now in the Bahamas Bowl, and you can whoop it up with BetDSI using promo code GoBlue at chatsports.com/bet. If you do, you get a 120% cash bonus on whatever you put in. Let's say you put in $50, you get a free $60. Put in $100, free $120 cash in your account. Plus, during the holiday season, you get one of these gifts from Chat Sports right to you, and from BetDSI, Chat Sports right to you. Promo code GoBlue. You sign up and deposit with them, and then you DM me on Twitter at James T. Yoder and tell me which one of these items you want to get hooked up with. The blue number 4 Jim Harbaugh Nico Collins jersey, the maize number 1 Michigan Jordan jersey, or the black M maize and blue baseball style shirt from Chat Sports BetDSI when you get hooked up with them as a new customer this holiday season. Promo code GoBlue. All right. Higdon announced yesterday he's not playing in the bowl game, and Angelique Shingelis of the Detroit News went on Big Ten Network today, and yesterday maybe it was, I'm surprised by this. It was caught off guard. This is totally surprising. Well, I am calling that fake news. I think that is her. I don't know what these people, they think we're dumb or something like that. They go on, act like they didn't know this. This was not surprising to anyone. I told you 9 days ago, we had our emergency press conference, Higdon will not be playing in the bowl game, just like Devin Bush, just like Rashawn Gary. And this is what she says. I was a little surprised, Angelique Shingella said. How were you surprised by this? This is not, everyone out there has been reporting this, myself included. We may have broke the story in some regards, but this was not a surprise. So I don't like when the local journalists think you, the respected, intelligent Michigan football fan, is some sort of dummy that you didn't realize that Higdon wasn't playing just because he hadn't officially announced it yet. Almost 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. He'll play in the Senior Bowl, but not the Michigan Bowl game. So Chris Evans, True Wilson, and some other younger players are going to get the opportunity to stake their claim as a starting running back next season, try and hold off Zach Charbonnet, the incoming top 50 player in the country, one of the top running backs in the class of 2019. And with that, I want to ask you guys, are you okay with Michigan players skipping bowl games? I want you to type Y for yes, watching below, Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook Live, Michigan Football Report YouTube channel, and my Twitter account. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Are you okay with Michigan football players skipping the bowl game? I want to know from you guys, because you've heard me in the past. I'm typing no below. I think you make a commitment to your team. You go to war with these guys. You practice your ass off with them the entire year. You're just going to skip your last game as a college football player. Talk to a guy who's 40 years old who played at Michigan. He'd probably say he'd give anything to get back on there and lace him up and put the shoulder pads on, the helmet on one more time. So I'm going no, but I do understand your concerns saying about the money and all that goes into it. So let's keep it rolling with the Michigan Football Report post-signing day rumors roundup. So now we've got 3 Michigan football players. Higdon, Rashawn Gary, Devin Bush this week also announced that he is not going to be playing. But kind of like what Rashawn Gary alluded to, Devin Bush said he's too injured. It's not that he doesn't want to play in the bowl game. It's that he's too injured to play in the bowl game, and the medical staff wouldn't clear him. I'm giving this one Harbaugh head. There's certainly a small shred of truth, is what we say in the Harbaugh head scale that we give 0 to 4 Harbaugh heads. Small shred of truth that he's injured. But I want to ask you this, respected Michigan football fan. If Michigan was in the Big Ten championship game, if they beat Ohio State, Big Ten championship game, playoff coming up in 8 days from now, would Devin Bush play in that game? Would Rashawn Gary play in that game? Would Higdon, if he tries to claim the injury game, would he play in those games? I would say they would, guaranteed. So if you're too injured for this game, you'd be too injured for those games. So I get that maybe it's too injured to play in a game that's not a playoff game, then say that. But these guys are coming out and saying, hey, the only reason I'm not playing this game is because the medical staff won't clear me. So I like to give it to you guys straight. I like to be fair and balanced. And with, Devin Bush gave us all to Michigan. I am super happy he came. I thought he was an awesome player, one of the great Michigan linebackers of all time. But I'm not buying that the only reason he's not playing is because of his injury. If you want to say, I don't want to further risk injury, I did get banged up in the Ohio State game, that's fine. But there's no doubt in my mind, if Michigan was playing in the playoff next week, that he would play in that game. And as such, you can't blame this solely on injury. You have to say injury and I don't want to get further injured or injured and this bowl isn't big enough for me. So Rashawn Gary, Devin Bush, Higdon, 2 captains and the former #1 overall recruit in America will not be suiting up for Michigan a week from tomorrow, 12 o'clock, the day of the playoffs, December 29th. So that is a story on those 3 guys. How about the 2 other ones that we told you weren't playing in the bowl game, didn't begin practicing early middle of the month when Michigan went to bowl practices? Now there's a report out there that they're playing in the bowl. I'm going to give it 2 Harbaugh heads because this one, people are talking, and these are the 2 guys that it was surprising. Obviously, Bush and Gary, high draft picks. Higdon, a senior. Maybe he doesn't want to get banged up. Maybe he wants to start practicing to try and go from a 4th rounder to a 3rd rounder or something like that. But Lavert Hill and David Long, juniors, were not projected first-round draft picks. And they were very, I've been told, adamant about going pro after this season. And when they started talking to agents, started hearing back from some potential NFL scouts, the word back on them was that they're not first-round draft picks. They're probably not second-round draft picks. So do they want to come out? And if they're not going to come out, should they get their ass in the game and play in this bowl game? And so that's what it seems like. If they play, it does not mean that I was wrong in my report. It means that they've changed their mind about potentially going pro. So I think you will see what happens here. If those guys play in the bowl game, Michigan starting cornerbacks the last 2 years, David Long, Liver Hill, I think it's a pretty good chance that they are going to stay for the 2019 season, which I think will be a nice welcome addition to that team because we thought they were out the door. So David Long, Liver Hill, people are saying they've been practicing this week, just in the past couple of days. Skipped a few last week, we told you. If they're back in practice, I think that means they're not going to go pro. We will probably find out more throughout the next week, 8 days away from the Michigan football bowl matchup with Florida. And this show, some of the show, on the Michigan Football Report YouTube channel. We did it together. You, me, the production staff here at Chat Sports got us over 1,000 subscribers in 1 week. Now we're at 1 week and 2 days. We're at 1,200. Now we got to get to 5,000. I told you, when we get to 5,000, you don't even want to know what's going to happen. It is going to be amazing when we get to 5,000. I get to go live on this channel now. 5,000, we need to do something even better than live. So get subscribed now. YouTube.com/Michigan TV is the URL. If you're watching right now, just scroll down, press subscribe. Every time we have a new Michigan football show, you will be hooked up with that show, and you will not have to go search on the internet for Michigan football content, all right here from the Michigan Football Report. How does Shea Patterson's father feel about skipping bowl games? Well, he is not a fan of it. If you take what he put on Twitter out there, so I'm giving 4 Harbaugh heads. This is an FACK fact that Shea's dad, not a fan of Michigan football players, or I guess any football players, skipping a bowl game. Take a look at this tweet right here from Sean Patterson. There's no such thing as a meaningless game in any type of sport or competition. Shea Patterson, he'll be playing the bowl game. And I put out there, I was replying to people in my tweets the last few weeks about Shea Patterson, so you may have missed this one, but I put out there saying, look, I don't think Shea Patterson, from what I've been told, even if he was going pro, which it seems like he's not, would skip the bowl game. And his sister and his sister's husband, they like some of my tweets regarding that, and it sounds like his dad is right on board here with this tweet. So I'm with Sean Patterson here. Michigan has had so few 11-win seasons in the history of the program that this is an opportunity to be a historic year. You only lose to 2 top 5 teams in Notre Dame and Ohio State. That would be a good year, an all-time year potentially. I know it doesn't taste like that, it doesn't feel like that because the big blowout loss to Ohio State, but Jim Harbaugh's never had an 11-win year. He's had 2 3-loss seasons and a 5-loss season. And why? Well, you lose some games in 2015, but you win your bowl game. To get to 10-3 felt a lot better than 9-4 would have had they lost that bowl game to Florida in the 2015 season. 2016 would have been a heck of a lot better season if they beat Florida State, finished 11-2, than going 10-3. Kind of seemed like it was just an average season, although they were number 3 in the country, their final game in the regular season, so it doesn't feel as good. You go back through the years of Michigan football since 1971, folks. We're talking almost 50 years here at this point. That's 37 years. I'm just 47 years. 47 years at this point. 5 11-win seasons. That's 47 years. And you're going to say this game's meaningless? I think you're crazy if you think that. I hope you agree with me that 11-2 feels a lot better than 10-3 would. Think about 1998, 1999. 98, you go 10-3. 99, you win that bowl game versus Alabama, 2 top 10 teams. Michigan finishes in the top 5. I remember 99 as a really great season. 98 or 2000, 3 losses. I don't remember those seasons as great seasons. I remember them as, wow, a lot of missed opportunities there. So I am with Sean Patterson here. Get the 11 wins. 11-2 means something in college football. It propels you in the next season into a top 5, top 6 preseason ranking. 10-3, what are you going to end up there? Top 14 preseason ranking doesn't feel as sexy. The game is coming up 8 days from now. Michigan, Florida, and I want you guys to win $25 out of my pocket into yours. And if you do, you'll probably be my Michigan football fan of the year because 0 people, thousands of predictions on Twitter this year, 0 people picked the correct score of a single Michigan football game. Can you believe that? A little crazy to me, but DM me on Twitter. $25 to the first person who DMs me and gets the score correct. And make sure you tell me who's going to win. I'll assume it's Michigan, but you still got to tell me to get the money. Comment below, watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, but also make sure you DM me to get in the giveaway for $25 towards Michigan footballs, towards yourself if you predict the score of Michigan football and Florida. And some breaking news this morning in recruiting. Michigan got a commitment from a quarterback in the 2020 class. His name is J.D. Johnson. kind of underreported this morning. It wasn't a commitment anyone expected. It certainly wasn't one that really got people super excited about. He's a 3-star quarterback. He basically put out there a photo of himself at Michigan in kind of a cartoon jersey with the winged helmet and the block M behind him. Committed JD Johnson out of Phoenix, Arizona. Is only a 3-star quarterback, and he will be the 5th member of Michigan's 2020 recruiting class. 3-star from Phoenix, Arizona. He's got some offers from South Carolina, Arizona, UNLV, Colorado State, so a couple Power 5 programs there, but fairly under-recruited. And congrats to JD Johnson. Congrats to his family, to his high school coach, everybody that goes into it. But this, folks, I'm giving it to you straight, like I always do, this to me kind of feels like a placeholder, right? Not even ranked player right now in the next class. 3-star quarterback. Nobody else big time has offered him. So it kind of feels like a placeholder. Like Michigan's going to go after some bigger recruits, much like Kevin Doyle did in the 2018 class. A 3-star guy with not a ton of big offers. They'll go after their Joe Milton, their Dylan McCaffrey. Try and get that guy on. And hey, JD Johnson, if you want to stick around, cool, we'll have a spot for you. But if you want to go to Colorado State and be their prime quarterback, their number 1 guy in this class, go ahead and do that, because we finally got our 4-star, 5-star quarterback. So I feel like it's a placeholder, but, no inside info. But don't be surprised if JD Johnson is not a guy who ultimately ends up in this class. So congrats to him, though, for today. But I think Michigan will continue to go after bigger fish in this 2020 class at the quarterback position. But let's take a look at this 2020 class. Andre Seldon out of the state of Michigan, 4-star cornerback. Then you've got Khalil Branham out of Ohio, the 4-star wide receiver out of Columbus. Then you've got a handful of 3-star players. You've got Shea Patterson's brother, Nick Patterson, the 3-star tight end out of San Antonio, Texas. And then J.D. Johnson, the 3rd offensive player on this list to go along with Branham and Shea Patterson's brother there at tight end and wide receiver, respectively. J.D. Johnson, Michigan's quarterback commitment for the 2020 class. Will he hold out? Will he be part of that class? I'm not sure. But this is the 2020 class. Quavaris Crouch tonight, 6:30 p.m. You can follow along on my Twitter account. I'll be tweeting it out live as soon as it happens, so stick with us for this one. Seldon, Branham, Johnson, we've got the 2020 recruiting class, and that is what you want to keep an eye out for the next 12 months as we get back into this 2020 recruiting cycle. I am James Yoder, the face of Michigan football media, and next week we will have Yoder's Michigan Awards. Going to give out all kinds of awards for the 2018 calendar year for Michigan football, including the 2018 James Thomas Yoder Family Michigan Man of the Year. They put it in my name, and now you and I together, will announce a winner next week. That'll be exclusively on the Michigan Football Report YouTube channel, so you gotta subscribe below, youtube.com/Michigan TV. We will see you next week, 6:30 tonight. Quavaris Crouch, go blue. Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am your host, James Yoder, the hardest working man in Michigan football media. While the blog boys are out of Walmart shopping for Christmas presents, I'm here breaking down everything that's going on with the Wolverines post-2019 early signing day on Wednesday. And today's big story, Quavaris Crouch, the former #1 player in America, according to Rivals, as recently as this summer as a running back, now is dropped from 5-star stats down to 4-star stats, ranked in the 30s to 40s, depending on which service you use. He will now commit tonight. This is late-breaking news, and we have been told it'll come down to Michigan or Tennessee. We're just giving 2 Harbaugh heads. That's what we've been told, but this is not a recruitment I have followed super closely. I thought he was out the door, not coming to Michigan, no chance in the last couple weeks, so I haven't kept my ear to this one. I was away from my phone last night. All you guys were blowing me up, asking to see if we can get a scoop on this. No scoop. And anyone out there on the internet who tells you they know where he's going, I think they are lying, at least this afternoon as we stand now. The word for the last month and a half, 2 months, is that although he liked Michigan, it was too cold for him, and Clemson was where he is going to end up, a little closer to home, he being from Charlotte, North Carolina, within a few hours drive down to South Carolina to head to Clemson. But took a surprise visit this past weekend to Tennessee. They got Eric Gray, took him from Michigan. They got 2020 quarterback Harrison Bailey recently, so him from Michigan. So this one would hurt if a 5-7 Tennessee team that didn't do anything to get anybody excited in the field will steal 3 recruits from right under Michigan's nose in about under a month time period. That would definitely stink. So Quavaris Crouch, former #1 player in America, just an absolute brick shithouse. I've said this one in the past of a human being. Take a look at some of his pictures out there on the internet. Google search him, click on the photos. He is huge. Switching to linebacker, wants to have a longer professional pro career, top 40 player in the country. Coming tonight, 6:30. Keep up to it with my Twitter account. I will tweet it out as soon as he commits, 6:30 Eastern, live from, I guess it's high school, but this is a great late breaking news. He was originally slated to commit at the Army All-American game in a couple weeks. No longer. It's going to go down tonight. If he does commit to Michigan, he will be adding to a top 10 class as recently as today, the number 8 class in the 24/7 composite, headlined by Dax Hill, who flipped from Michigan to Alabama a couple weeks ago. Back to Michigan on signing day, December 19th. Sending us a letter of intent to Jim Harbaugh and the coaching staff. Zach Charbonnet, maybe the #1 running back in the country. Michigan certainly thinks